Two strong kings, two egos that fight. Here is a powerful story of two kings who are engaged in a tussle of egos. Read and find out how they came together for peace. This is the tale of two kingdoms named Janakipatna and Sibpur, situated on either side of a mountain in the western part of Utkal. For years, the people of the two kingdoms, who trace their origin to the same tribe, had lived together peacefully. However, when Prince Narayan became the king of Janakipatna and Prince Hari took over the reins of Sibpur, the seeds of hostility were sown. The bone of contention was a fruit garden located on the lower slopes of the mountain. The name of the garden was Batika, and it was really special. In the garden grew fruits of every kind all the year round. Tasty mangoes, mouth-watering lychees, delicious apples, watermelons, pears, peaches, grapes, guavas, any fruit you could think of grew there in abundance. Another peculiarity of the region was that not a single fruit of any variety ever grew in any of the two kingdoms. Janakipatna and Sibpur had trees, shrubs, and herbs that bore flowers, plants which yielded vegetables, but as far as fruits were concerned, they had only one home, and that was the beautiful garden of Batika. In the beginning, the residents of both the kingdoms took care of the garden by working shoulder to shoulder. Later, Batika created a division between the kingdoms. Both Narayan and Hari felt their respective ancestors had played a greater role in the garden's prosperity. In the era of Narayan and Hari, the two kingdoms stopped being friendly, and over the years it gradually turned to hostility. By the time their grandsons, Amrit and Gobind, ascended the throne, the two kingdoms were sworn enemies. On both sides of the common border, troops patrolled day and night. Batika, which was on neutral ground, became a forbidden territory for the residents of Janakipatna and Sibpur. Soldiers of the two kingdoms guarded it, and neither side allowed the other to enter. Gradually, the stock of fruits in the two kingdoms was over. With no one to maintain it, Batika too started deteriorating. The trees started growing helter-skelter and died. With no one to pluck them, many fruits decayed on the trees itself. One day, a very old sage came to visit Janakipatna and Sibpur. His name was Giriraj. He, Narayan, and Hari had been taught by the same teacher. While the two princes had come back and taken over their royal duties, Giriraj had followed the spiritual path and become well known as Gurudeb. He was coming to this region after a long time. He came to know about the fight between the two kingdoms and also the sad state of Batika. One day he asked Amrit and Gobind to meet him in Batika. There, under the shade of a huge mango tree, he spoke to the two adversaries. Amrit and Gobind, I have known your families for 3 generations now. I knew you when you were the best of friends, and I know you now when you are the worst of enemies. It really saddens me to see you two fighting. Do you realize what misery your attitude is causing the people? Misery? I don't understand this. My people should be grateful that my brave troops have protected Batika. Hearing this, Gobind jumped up and pulled out his sword. Sit down, both of you, thundered Gurudeb, his eyes blazing. Amrit and Gobind took their places, glaring at each other. Now listen to me carefully. Your people are neither proud nor grateful. If anything, they are sick and tired of this fighting. Gurudeb, it is difficult to believe this. All along, I thought if I make an attempt at peace, my people would think I am a coward. They would accuse me of hurting their pride and self-respect. Gobind said. Gurudeb, I hate to agree with him, but I too had the same feeling, added Amrit. Both of you are wrong. For the last 6 months, I have gone around meeting the people of Janakipatna and Sibpur. They are fed up with this long and fruitless war. Almost every household has lost a life or has a member who has lost a limb. In every home you have an orphan crying for his father, a widow grieving for her husband, or a parent pining for a lost son. Moreover, I do not know whether you are aware that there is a lot of poverty in the two kingdoms. Most of your wealth is spent in war. If this money is used for peace, your kingdoms will be far more prosperous and your people a lot more happy." Gurudev paused and looked at the two kings. They were listening with their heads bowed. "I think more than the self-respect of people, it is your individual egos that are responsible for this state of affairs." Once again Gurudev paused, and after observing the two kings for some time, resumed. "The other day I was sitting in the house of one of my devotees in Sipur. The young man was telling his 4-year-old son a story. While telling the tale, he happened to mention the word mango. "What is a mango?" the child asked. "It is a fruit," the father replied. "What is a fruit?" the little one asked. The father turned to me and with tears in his eyes said, "Gurudev, when I was his age, my father used to give me fruits of every variety. But what an unfortunate father I am, that, let alone give my son delicious fruits to eat, I can't even explain to him what a fruit is." Gurudev stopped. Then getting up slowly, he walked away. That evening, Gurudev was sitting in meditation at the same spot. When he opened his eyes, he found Amrit and Gobind standing before him. They touched his feet. "Gurudev, you have taught us a valuable lesson. You were right, even our own families are tired of war," Amrit said. "Yes, Gurudev, we have no right to bring about destruction. We have decided we'll live in peace," Gobind said. "Once there is peace, there will be no need for an army. The soldiers of both the kingdoms will look after Batika. They will nurture it, help it expand, and distribute its fruits to the people of both the kingdoms. However, we will not call it Batika any more," Amrit said. "What will you call it then?" "We will call it Shanti, peace, and it will be regarded as a blessing," Gobind said. "A blessing from our ancestors, and we are sure it will be a blessing for our future generations too," Amrit